Today we're talking about the Mazda MX-5 Miata RF. It's gonna be more of a short video because I've only had the car for 2 days. Even now I'm not anymore in the Miata, I'm in a Mustang right now. And I wanted to record my impressions on Miata before I get in any other car. So the main thing you have to understand about Miata is that it's a special car. And I'm really glad that Mazda still create this car. They're devoted to produce the same type of car and the same to keep the same philosophy when building the car. Every car journalist on internet, every YouTuber will always tell you how good the Miata is, regardless of what generation you're getting into. After I drove the current generation MX-5, I kind of started to believe in that. And that is because of that very analog feel the 2020 MX-5 gives you. And the thing is that you're not gonna feel anything like that in any car at this price point. For example, they're very opposite, but let's say the Camaro SS I drove some time ago, you're not gonna feel that connectiveness and body control in a Camaro SS until you start to push it to the limit. With the MX-5, you can feel it daily. You don't have to push the car to some extreme limit. So a few things you have to keep in mind. The steering is very sharp, and I guess at this point I haven't felt that sharp of a steering in most of the cars I drove. The steering is way sharper than you will find in any mainstream car on the road, and you feel that sharpness even more on a highway. You have to put a very little input into the steering wheel so the car can just change direction. You know, it's very sharp. The body control is just amazing. When I just first got into the car, I felt like it's a little bit soft, it's a little bit wiggly, you know. But the idea is that it teaches you how the car behaves and what it's about to do, so you know exactly what's going to happen in the next move. And that also translates to the driving dynamic. Since it's a little car with a short base with real rear wheel drive, first of all, it doesn't require a lot of power. When you go in turns a little bit harder, you will start to notice your rear end coming around. The car connects with you, it engages with you in that motion activity, and you feel that through everything that happens in the car. The steering wheel, the rumble of the engine when you start the car, you're gonna feel the vibration from the engine going through the entire chassis and body. You know, you feel like the engine is actually right next to you. And speaking about the engine, in my opinion, the engine is one of the best things when it comes to the 2020 Miata RF, because of three very important things. First of all, it revs really high. Anything that revs above 7,000 RPMs will give you a feeling of a longer run, a wider, longer power band. The second thing is that because the engine is not so powerful, I mean, it's very powerful for the amount of weight the car has, but because the engine, first of all, is naturally aspirated, and second, it's a small displacement, it means that you can rev actually up the engine all the way to the red line and still be in a reasonable speed. And that's important because when I had the Camaro SS, even though it has a red line of 6,500 RPMs or something like that, there's too much power for you to actually rev it up reasonably on a street to the red line. There's just too much power. You're not gonna get it there without getting a speed ticket. So that's a cool thing. And the third thing is that the engine has personality and kind of a strong factor. What I mean by that is that normally when you rev up a car, that it doesn't really have to have a really high red line, but still, if you bring it to the red line, it's still like it feels like it's gonna fall apart. Not in the case of MX-5. You can rev it all the way up. It feels natural, like it likes to be revved up, if that makes sense. Another interesting thing about the MX-5 is that it has a real exhaust. And the exhaust gives you some sound. Yes, it does sound well. It's a real exhaust. It's not some fake plastic inserts in the rear bumper. It's there, you can see it, you can hear it, which makes it really, really cool. So to summarize this video, again, I'm gonna say that the MX-5 RF might be the most analog car I drove in the past years. That, first of all, is new, but second, it gives you that analog feel that only older car have, which is kind of incredible. When I first got into it, I felt that rushing connectiveness I normally have with my 1999 Toyota Corolla, and that might not be the best example, I guess, but because normally the older cars don't have electric steering or all that much insulation, you always get that connectiveness when you drive. You can feel through the steering wheel what your tires are doing, what is your body doing. It's not muted, and that's the main thing you can say about the MX-5 Miata is the, again, the level of connectiveness. For someone who's looking for comfort, no, that's a totally wrong car. I mean, it is comfortable, it is fairly compliant and soft, but if you want to be isolated, that's not the best car for you. But I see now why the MX-5 has such a huge follow on internet and generally in the car community, because it is special and it stays like that for many years, and I hope it's not going to change. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon.